And so what we try to start with, we discuss with our customers on to help make a decision, is we start with, what's your application? And what type of users are you trying to actually go out and actually serve? And so what that's going to basically do is help give us information and guidance on two fronts. It's going to be one, what is the latency tolerance of, because it's going to depend on what you're working, right? If you're kind of just doing something that's a little email-based, static websites, it takes an extra second to load, people probably aren't going to be upset. If it's going to be, something where it's going to be very interactive, that's where the proximity is going to matter, and your testing is going to be important. So that's one. And then the second aspect is, for the application itself, is as great as clouds become, there really are certain applications still that, depending on the user load you're getting and depending on the amount of storage, it actually works better still on physical servers and can even be more cost effective. So that's really where we just try to then have that discussion and balance that and offer what the trade-offs are. So, if you're going to do maybe a little bit of a test case, and it's not a high latency sensitive application, running that off a US or European public cloud for Hong Kong, honestly probably be fine.
More about study onto that in terms of search engine optimization. Like, if I've got a Hong Kong cloud, does it mean that I'm going to get further up on Google or anything because it's a Hong Kong IP address or anything like that, or does it not matter?
I think that, again, that's this really isn't our area of expertise. I think that because of cloud has gone down a bit. I mean, Google and those guys never show their algorithms, so you don't know. But if you actually do look at now, especially, even how we run, our cloud and Amazon and some others is, it's all CDN native, right? So a lot of times where it's coming from, where the traffic's cached, I think it's very difficult for you to even figure out where it is. I think it's gone down a bit in rankings. I don't think it's as important. And I think the aspect of then, even if it is, then that really wouldn't matter on physical or public, right? If it was, then it wouldn't matter. You want to go with the best, solution for you as far as budget, scale, and what's going to make your application work. But I do think the search engine stuff has kind of gone down a bit, but I really can't speak on that with any authority.
Sounds great. Oh, here's another one.
Hi, back to China. I was wondering if either of you know if any of the China SNS platforms currently use clouds such as Shufu or Renren or Waveform.
A lot of those big ones, from my understanding, is it's very much taken and if I do this as well, it's really kind of taken a Google, Facebook approach, where I think they have basically built out their own data farms due to the amount of traffic that they handle. So you see them basically running kind of more, what we call like a private on-premise cloud, probably using either an open source virtualization technology or maybe even a VMware-based technology. But the interesting thing is that a lot of those big SNS sites are actually starting to think about a global platform. So we have seen some of them. We've had some discussions with them talking about how do they get footprints outside China, and do you utilize a vendor's cloud like ours or something smaller outside their home market. But I think what you've seen now is that really is, if you look at China, a pure kind of public cloud play, for large companies like an Amazon, like a Rackspace, like a Microsoft that actually has a presence there. So you're seeing a lot more kind of homegrown built private clouds with those big scales. So I think that's where the market's just a little bit behind.
I think I actually do not have information on that part on whether, but from what I read, because I also read China programmer magazines. Okay, so I always see those technical guys, writing articles about how they build their own, big data systems, with all sorts of technologies, Hadoop, things like that. So I tend to believe that they really have their own, set up their own infrastructure for that. But for example, but that is for within China, right? So how about outside China? Are they using any hosters, for assessing the users in North America, for example? Then it's actually out of my knowledge here.
We do actually have a few of the large China internet sites that actually do utilize us for EMEA and North America type access.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anyone? All right, I got one. So, we have just a lot of time to wrap up anyway. So, this is a question that I've been asked many times, so I'm going to put it to the experts here. So, people talk about cloud, right? So they think these are cloud out there and it's all magical. You just throw something up there and it just goes around the world. But, there's actually a very distinct difference between cloud computing versus content delivery network, which people tend to mush into just one black box. So I think that all the presentations today focus a lot on the dynamic scaling, which is one cloud computing side of things. But I don't know if there's anything you want to add more on the CDN side of things, because I think you mentioned distribution, locations, which is more on how the content delivery network can benefit businesses when they need to scale to various country around the world instead of just processing power. So.
Yeah, so again, it's a very valid question. So for us, on our public cloud product, we actually have Akamai CDN technology embedded in it. So if you're familiar with them, they're probably the largest pure-play CDN company in the world. So we utilize them in partnership. So that does clearly, enhance the speed and performance. But again, what I think you're going to see the next leap is that a lot of that again is static, and even then they have accelerators and they have other stuff. All those guys and that kind of stuff, they have great technology that works on it. But again, I think what you're going to start seeing is, and this is where as a company we're very big believer in this whole kind of idea of open cloud. That it's not going to be about a bunch of proprietary cloud companies, and that all these systems are going to have to allow apps to work and interoperability, because as the data grows, as the tolerance for latency decreases, everybody gets used to having these devices and you're using it, you're actually going to need more than CDN. You are going to need to have the ability to be actually putting stuff on physical servers, having the compute power, having the storage close and accessible. So that's very much why we see this kind of world in federated cloud, where you could seamlessly take something from a Rackspace cloud in Hong Kong and move it over to an Amazon or Singapore or Microsoft cloud in Singapore if that was the right thing for your business. So that's where, as a company, we see very much the technology evolving to. So right now, CDN is your best solution, but due to especially data privacy, some country regulations, and that need to have your access to compute power close to actually enhance the user experience, we see more of a federated cloud type environment growing.
I would say CDN and also computing power it is about how are you going to architect it depends on your architecture actually. So usually for those like videos, movies, or e-books that have a bigger size, we would like to leverage the CDN network, because with the CDN network, potentially it saves your bandwidth cost. Okay, because in the pay-as-you-go basis, it costs, right? So if every time a North American user has to access your Hong Kong data center to get that video, then that will probably may be a loss, and the user experience may not be good, because of the latency, etc. So at that point, it actually depends on your architecture and where your users are. Yeah, it also go back to this question. And usually we have I also work on cases that they host their things, their stuff, videos, etc. equals in Hong Kong, and targeting different users around the world. So if your social media surveys, your bright idea innovation websites are targeting worldwide, and as a cloud computing plus CDN, kind of architecture will usually benefit at these kind of scenarios. Yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic. Just one last question. So I'm sure that any struggling, or perhaps not struggling, but inspirational folks here who are out to launch their own startup, do their own social network or whatever. if they are interested in getting into cloud, what's the advice you would give them, and just one quick, how do they get started?
So actually, just doing a startup in the cloud space, that's what you're talking about.
Or doing something social, I mean, if they want to get to cloud and from your...
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's, I think again, it comes out to, really understanding your application, where you're gonna try to go, reach out to folks. And then at that point, it's, again, really it's just, it's how do you get on a low-cost platform that works for you, that you can scale out, that you're not gonna get a big commitment. Like, so we have that, there's other competitors in the marketplace, and, each of us have our strengths and weaknesses on certain aspects of it, to be honest. And it comes down to what you need. If you're probably really super technical and your whole company is you're one business guy and 5 really cool tech guys, then you probably want honestly the cheapest commodity thing you can find. If it comes down to it's more business, I got a base app, I've hired a developer, you probably want a more high service type, something like our cloud's very much service level cloud based. So I think it's going to just depend on you need to do some research. There's absolutely a lot of options out there. And the great thing is, I mean, it's honestly, you can get started for, not much more than the cost of breakfast after you go out here this morning for a month of hosting somewhere. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the exciting thing about cloud. I think that's going to help startups in every space, really kind of come up with something that's going to change the world.
And one thing to add is that I've been meeting a lot of startups in Hong Kong because that is my job. So, and actually a lot of them will associate either with Cyberport or with Science Park to get their support on different things. So low ranking of office, and the connections that they build to the venture capitalists, etc. So if you're a startup, I would say associate to either Cyberport or Science Park to get support to expand your network, etc. That will actually help a lot.
That's great. Once again, thank you, Andrew and Jim. It's a wonderful presentation today. Let's give a round of applause.